Welcome to the Metal Prognosis. My name is Lee, and on today's video we are looking at some IR, some impulse responses by a company called Seacow. They released a signature pack, so it's a bunch of IRs that sound like, or they've done their best to emulate from well-known guitarists. So what I thought was, let's just run through them, have a bit of a chat about them, and see how they sound and how they hold up. So cue the cute little cartoon intro, let's get stuck into it and see how they sound. Okay, now I've got everything set up ready to go. Let's do a little bit of a look under the hood first before we dive into the IRs. So firstly, these are the guitars, or how they're captured, just totally dry, running straight into the audio interface. And this is what they sound like, just. Dry and rubbish by themselves. And so what I've done is I'll bring these back in. I'm using the Audio Assault's AHM, which is pretty cool. And as you can see, I've left it all on high noon. And for two of the guitars out of three of them, I have just a little boost, as you can see there, just because I don't know why you wouldn't want to use a boost. The boost makes things better. So we're using a boost. All right, so in our little setup thing here in the signature thing, let me run you through here because I brought it up before to make sure. So here's the signature pack here. I'm stuttering a lot today. So thank you for going through it. So as you see, we've got lots of different artists running through here, from Kirk to Nuno Betancourt to Dave Mustaine / Eddie, a bunch of really cool ones. And if I just go into any of these, Tommy, let's go into Tommy with his Laney. They've got dual mics that they've set up, which is, there's a bucket load there. There is a bucket load. And they've got all the individual mics that they've done as well. And there is heaps and heaps. But one thing I discovered while utilising these, the little bit that I haven't gone through all of them, but the little that I have, is with my effects units that I've got, my NUX MG30, I think it is, my Moa 250, and my Harley Benton effects unit that I cannot remember the name for, GTX or something. Gosh. Total blank. Irrelevant though. All those effects units you can load up your own IRs with. So instead of going through and trying to find one here, I realised the Helix that I don't have, but all their custom impulses they've already done all the hard work. They've already figured out the best mic placements and everything and done their own little presets for a little cheat sheet. And that's what we're going to use today, is our little cheat sheet, because otherwise we're going to be here forever. So let's go through and start. So what do we want first? I should have brought that back. That was better. Dave Mustaine, let's start him. So he had his cryptic writing, his Countdown and Symphony. I might go for Countdown. Countdown was a heavy album. We like our heavies, and let's go for that. So bear with me while I just load this up. All right, so this is the first one, Countdown. So I'll just drop it in and out of the mix a little bit and push it through, and we'll see how it sounds. That's solid, that's nice and warm. That's a really nice blend. I like that. All right, so where to go to next? So we just come here and we've got some Eddie, not really that heavy for metal Eddie. He's got different type of thing, which is cool. Let's try Mish. Let's try some Misha. Let's go for P32, because I don't know what that is. And let's see how that sounds. All right, same trick again. Let's see how that sounds. a little bit drier, not as, I don't want to use the term moist, but not as saturated compared to the Mustaine one. And we're only comparing them back to back. As an isolated IR, I think it's decent. I think it'd be utilized a lot better, as in like what Misha does with lower tuning guitars and having a little bit more of a stop-start picky instead of this, which is more chords, a lot more of a chord riff-based type of thing, but still really cool. All right, next on the list, we'll just do a few more. Nuno, once again, he's very dry with his guitar. Not dry as in personality. He's very interesting, but in his guitar tone, it's a little bit more dry because he's got that little bit more of a funk aspect to it. I mean, Three Sides are one of my favourite stories. Let's do Get the Funk Out because we're here and it's Nuno. All right, let's see how that sounds. Fascinating how different they all really are, and all I'm doing is changing the cabs, all the amp settings and everything else is staying the same. It's very extreme, which it should be, because that's the band that he is well known for. But definitely lost a lot of the low end there, but he loves his funk. He loves that more twangy type of touch with his riffage, for lack of a better term. So I think that fits in really well. Not as saturated as what I would like for this type of riff, but for what it is, it's really cool. But we're always going to have this going on with all these because we've got the same song playing with completely different style of approaches. But that's all right. All right, what do we got next? Slash Steve. I mean, let's just do two more, and then we'll have a bit of a chat, so I'm not dragging this on too long. Let's go for. I'll go for a classic. Go for a bit of Black Sabbath. Everyone loves a bit of Sabbath. Now, the main thing I'm really keen to see on this one is not so much, is it going to be like the best and awesome, but I think this will be a really nice comparison to see how they're emulating a really old type of distortion sound compared to some of the newer ones. It's sounding scooped, but doesn't sound bad at all. I was expecting it to be a lot more drier and a little bit more hollow and hear a little bit more air with that mix, but no, not at all. That's actually not bad. All right, so I saw Kirk Hammett had one here, so let's do, this is going to be awesome because looking at the different albums, Master of Puppets, Kill 'Em All, for me, their heaviest was the Black Album, as in from a guitar tone perspective. And I'm really keen to see how many people get upset in the comments and just tell me how wrong I am as a metalhead fan, you know? Because that could be very interesting as well, on top of what I'm actually doing here. Let's find out. All right, Kirk Hammett, the Black Album. That's actually really warm. It's got a really nice, warm dynamic to it. I like that. That was pretty cool. Time for some final thoughts on the Seacow IR pack, which kind of brings me to the whole inspiration of wanting to do this video. is I have a question for everyone, because they all sound really good quality. They work really well with the Audio Assault interface that they had. I've also used it, let's see if I can grab this, like on my Solid Studio. I've chucked them in there and they work a real treat using on external equipment, which I think I mentioned in the start too, where I use it with my Harley Benton GRT, I think it is, effects, my MG30 NUX effects unit as well. They talk really well with that, which is awesome. So you're not just restricted by having them in the box and that's it. But prime example of how to approach getting a right sound when utilising different third-party IRs is, we can either do what we did right now, record the guitars nice and dry and flip through until you find one where you're like, oh, there we go, that's really good, or whatever, no, that's not good, or come up with a foundation and then tweak around it to see. On my preferred approach, and a lot of people disagree with me on this, so I'm really keen in the comments to see what you think. If you do disagree with me or not, you probably will. Let's find out. The second way is to have the guitarist play to those sounds as you're coming out with them, so don't pre-record them. Because me personally as a guitarist, and when I'm engineering other guitarists, I find when you produce different sounds to them, and to myself, let's use myself as a prime example, I play differently to those sounds that are being presented to me. Has different dynamics, different characteristics, and I'm going to lean in differently on how I play and how I do it. For example, if we had the Nuno Betancourt IR pack there, it's a little bit more dry, a little bit more top end, so that would inspire me to play a little bit more hammer-on stuff maybe, and do a little bit more intricate stuff, because it's a lot cleaner and clearer. If that makes sense. Where if I was using more of the Mustaine or the Kirk Hammett preset that they put together, that's a lot more saturated. So I'd be doing a lot more, probably it might inspire more leaning in on the guitar with the chunks and palm muting a lot more aggressiver to utilize the strengths of what that IR or that setup has to offer. And that's not just with flipping through IRs, I'm talking about the whole setup. So whether you're using different pedals, and I just did a video on this and it was in arm's reach, different pedals, different boosts, different amp heads, different, even different guitars. You know, do guitars have much of a different sound? Yes and no. They have slightly different sounds when you're saturating them heaps of fucking distortion and all that, but they have a different feel to them. And that different feel, the guitarist reacts to that. So they might feel it's a lot easier to chug along to. Might be a lot easier doing sweep picking with, or string skipping. That stutter sounded like a Floridian strip, but it wasn't. It's just bad stuttering. It might inspire more tapping or other things, different type of ways to approach your riffs or your different licks that you have happening. So yeah, that's what really inspired this video more than anything. And I was curious to see all those other presets, because I've only ever used a couple to see with my old band Rehearsal, and they worked really well. So it was nice to see the other ones, what they had to offer and all that, and to show them off as well. So thank you very much for joining me in this video. Lots of fun putting it together and to do, and I really look forward to chatting with you next time. And until then, please, stay safe.